appointed satanic assistant, Alex Houdini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
You know, Alex, we'll probably have to add your daughter to that too, right?
Yeah. Definitely going to have to add her to it.
Will not go to bed without vomiting.
That's right.
How you guys doing? How you doing, Matt? Awesome.
Thumbs up.
Awesome. Awesome.
Greek people's bums. Yeah.
I hope you realize there's someone behind you, Matt.
Yeah.
It's another Welshman. Do you know who that is?
That's Anthony Quinn?
No.
Who is
married to Elizabeth Taylor?
What's his name?
I'm gonna have to look it up.
No, I remember his face.
Richard
Burton.
Yeah,
that's right. Where did I get Anthony Quinn from?
Probably thinking of Anthony Hopkins. Welsh. That's what you're thinking. Yeah.
Could possibly be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's John Hurt there and Richard Burton, and that's from the movie 1984.
1984, absolutely.
And this weird landscape they got behind them with like lonely looking trees and the rippling hill.
Rippling hills, yeah.
Is right down the road from me where they filmed that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've done a little movie location thing. So I've actually gone back there and gone, look, this is where they stood. That's the shot. Look, Yeah.
Get the drone going and say, hey, look at how do they create those rippling hills? So
yeah,
what's the deal?
Nice drone stuff with it, yeah.
What's the deal with the rippling hills? Why is there a reason why they're like that, or is it just that's the way the landscape is?
Well, that's what I asked in the thing is, does anybody know why it's like this? Because I would imagine it was probably something glacial, like there was a glacier there and it sort of slid off and sort of carved out those bits of the landscape. But yeah.
Could have been just a bunch of people who had too much beans for lunch.
They farted the landscape away.
Yeah. Everybody thinks it's so, prehistoric and majestic. In reality, it's just someone who had too many beans.
Too many beans.
Yeah.
Let me guess, you had beans.
No, nuclear beans.
Too much.
Well, I can go for some beans right now.
Oh. Yeah. I bet you can.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been like, I don't know. The fall is quickly turning into the winter. It's getting chilly. Well, it's more damp than I don't know. What's it like in your part of the world, Matt? It's damp here.
Yeah, it's damp here. Yeah, it's damp, cold, but still get out in the day. Sun's still around, so you can still get out.
Yeah, I mean, during the day it's not bad. It's actually not too bad, but at night it just drops. I mean, I think it's probably feeling like -1 right now here.
I'm getting used to this kind of thing of like summer then winter because I've done 50 of them, so I'm kind of getting used to it
now. Yeah, half a century cycle. I know that feeling.
Come over here and enjoy the weather over here, Matt.
It's almost identical. Well, minus the winters.
Yeah,
we'd probably do all right in Canada, I suppose. But yeah,
I mean, the winters aren't so bad there, are they? I mean, you get a little bit of snow, but it doesn't get really that cold.
Not like you get up there. I mean, it's crazy where you are sometimes. America gets it quite crazy as well, like, sort of blizzards and snowstorms and just horrendous, for weeks, and people like trapped in their houses and, having to have like snow cats to get up and down the hill to where they live and all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Buffalo gets dumped on.
Oh, yeah. And that's just south of us. It's because they're below Lake Erie. They just get dumped on. I mean, what was it last year? They had 70 centimeters in the one snowfall.
Yeah, there was quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. They were finding people dead in their cars days later. They couldn't get out of their cars.
Jeez.
Insane. Oh, my God. Thankfully, we haven't had that. I mean, I think we had something like that night. We had about 30, 35, 40 centimeters here. But 70, holy crap.
That's a lot.
Those are the winters we used to get when I was a kid, maybe years ago before global warming. But you know, it's yeah.
There's only
Hopefully-
one year we ever had. We went to sleep and it started snowing. And we woke up in the morning and the snow was up past the upper floor windows.
Oh wow.
You know, it was a one-off year that was, and literally we had to dig our way out of our houses, and then everyone else dug outside their houses. So everybody had little pathways where you couldn't see, you know, because the snow was up here, and it just had little dugouts going to doorways and things, and you know, food was in short supply because they couldn't get vehicles in, you know, so everybody was just like, well, no work, and yeah, we're just going to play in the snow.
Just play, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I always find it shouldn't say I find it amusing, but I mean, you know, just when you look at some of the southern states and they have a just a little dropping of snow and they can't drive, there's accidents all over the place, and yeah, it's I'm not going out that. What are you, nuts? It's crazy out there. And here,
Oh my
that's
God,
like,
there's a snowflake on the ground.
yeah, it's like here, oh, that's nothing. I mean, as long as you got 4x4 all wheel, you're fine, no problems.
Yeah.
You know, all terrain tires. Hey, we're good to go. We're good to go. That's for sure.
Yeah, Teslas are pretty good in the snow. Apparently, they can out climb up a hill any other vehicle. Has been tested on
They're
it because
heavy.
the traction control is so instantaneous. You know, it can literally sort of just grip the ground, and yeah,
Yeah,
Plus
but
the center of weight is so low. That helps a lot too.
the only
Yeah.
problem with that is the batteries don't last as long.
well,
in the winter, they have a hard time here.
yeah, the batteries, I suppose, but Teslas are designed to actually pre-warm themselves so that the batteries can keep warm during the night
Yeah.
and things like that. You know,
Yeah.
and really, yeah, so they're ready to go in the morning. They're just like, yep, I'm
Well, I mean,
ready.
Well, I guess so, because I mean, you got to keep it plugged in, you know, and make sure it's charged for the morning or whatever else is whenever you're using it. So
Yeah, it's part of their battery management system. But the problem is though, when you're driving and you're not plugged in, they do suffer some range degradation in the winter months here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To what extent, I'm not 100% sure, but you know, has been recorded.
Yeah. They're really popular in sort of like northern countries, though, like Sweden and places have got schemes to kind of get people to buy them, and apparently they're quite popular over there. And they've got loads of chargers and all sorts of stuff. So, unlike the United States, where you can go from one city to the next, it's like shit. Is there even a charger here?
Yeah, there's nothing. You know, it's scary too, because I mean, look at these countries like Canada. The U.S. is kind of saying, okay, look at, especially some of the states, is look at, you have to electrify by 2025 or 2035 or whatever, but they just don't have the infrastructure for it.
No, they don't.
And
it's not just the charging networks that's the issue. It's also the actual infrastructure to carry the additional electricity that's not available yet.
Yeah.
So even if they were to lay out all the charges, like I know with Canada, the government wants the whole Trans-Canada Highway, which goes from coast to coast, to be electrified, right? To have charging stations all across the Trans-Canada Highway. But you could have as many chargers as you want. If you don't have the capacity to carry the extra electricity, it means nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they were going to build a battery plant in the Windsor area, and they said they just don't have the electrical grid to support it right now. But they're I guess working on it, because they're still planning on building it. But yeah, I don't know. Am I sold on it? I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if I'm completely sold on it yet.
No. Well, once the solid state batteries become more of a commonplace, it's a little bit better. They have better range, so you don't have as much. Well, you still have the anxiety, but you don't have as much anxiety over the current lithium-ion batteries. But we'll see.
Shit, I only got 50 kilometers left, and there's not a fucking charging station for another 100.
That's the problem. But it's not even just that. I mean, it's you can have it plugged in, because with electric cars you kind of have to plan your route.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Charging station to charging station, but it doesn't guarantee that when you get to that charging station that A, they'll be available, or B, that they're functioning. You know what I mean? So if you get to a charging station and it's not working or it's out of service, you're SOL. You know what I mean? You're screwed, basically.
And I mean, what's the lifespan of the batteries, say, in the Teslas?
Not amazing. I
Yeah,
don't think. No, I think
I'd say at least a decade.
that's
well,
not what I'm hearing.
maybe less than that. I get the feeling
Well, I
it's
mean, they
something like
degrade, yeah.
5,000 charges, 5,000 full charges, which is only like, if you're every day you're using it and having to charge every day or every other day, then that's probably only like about 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and it's going to be going
they'll
down
start
and
to
down
degrade.
and down.
Yeah, they'll start to degrade over a few years, right? But I think, and I guess they're taking an average. Obviously, they're not considering the daily driver, someone who's a salesperson who goes out every day, all the time, right?
Yeah.
But so they're saying on average, roughly the battery packs should last you approximately 10 years, and that doesn't guarantee. They're not saying that the batteries won't degrade between day 0 to 10 years. It will, but you should be able to it should still be usable enough at the close to the 10-year mark. That's again, depending on how much you use it.
Look at the cost right now to replace them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about the price of a car, pretty much.
Yeah,
exactly.
$20,000. Yeah, to replace a battery.
So hopefully you don't get a fucking lemon. You're going to be doling out another 20,000 for a new battery. I mean, some of these new ones on the horizon, like I know a lot of the speedier versions. I can't remember starts with an L, the company, the car. Not Lotus. It's not Lotus. It's they're one of the faster 0 to 60 electric cars out there. And Lucid, that's it. And they carry in what's called a tri battery setup, and able to carry the amount of horsepower is necessary, and the charge to reach that speed as quick. And I know a lot of, in fact, I think they're saying even now the Challenger, the new Stellantis Challenger, the Dodge Challenger, is going to have a similar tri battery system in it to carry, they're saying 844 horsepower. So
you can get insane power out of
that's
electric vehicles.
Insane.
It is insane.
Yeah,
it is.
That's
one of the things with electric vehicles. You got instant torque.
And,
speed, right? Insanity. But obviously the drawbacks. I mean, there's a few drawbacks, obviously, just like anything else, right? Yeah. One is obviously the range. Two is the how many chargers are there? Where if you're planning a long trip, you got to make sure that you're again planning it out, because otherwise you're screwed. And three, with some of the battery fires that have occurred with some of the vehicles, that's obviously something that's a worry. I mean, a lot of these, not all, a lot of them, all of them, with the Teslas, for example, that you push a button and it opens the car for the door for you, so it's electronic. But what happens if you have a battery fire? There is a manual way to do it.
Battery fart, yeah.
Battery fart, yeah. There is a manual way to do it. Yeah. However, not very many people are aware. There was one instance where I was watching this newscast of this woman who was basically stuck in her car with her daughter for like hours before she figured out that there's an actual manual release, because her batteries just failed on her and the doors were not opening, right? Because of that. So you have to kind of learn when you get these cars. You have to, that's probably the first thing you should learn. How do you open up the door manually in the worst case scenario if your batteries just completely crap out on you and you just can't get out? Or Matt, God forbid, there's a fire.
Matt, you took out a Tesla for a test ride.
I did. I
Well,
was
what'd you
utterly
think of it?
amazed by the power and some of the features, like the lane, keeping you in lane and things like that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm a realist. I think that right now the technology is just for those that have. You really have to, I think, have your own house with your own driveway so you can have your own charging point. I mean,
Mm.
it's not for anybody that doesn't have like a nice big house with a driveway and those sorts of things, because it's impractical and it's very expensive to charge when you're on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's looking. I mean, I haven't looked at the charging stations that they've had and what it costs per kilowatt. I don't
It's,
know if you've seen it, Alex. Here.
I don't know the exact rate. It is still cheaper than gas. However, with the advent of more vehicle coming online,
It's going to get more.
if the government has its way and electrifies the whole country, the rates are going to go up.
Rates are going to go up because
They
the
got to
usage.
improve the network,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that costs money. So they're going to obviously pass that along to the customer, right? And the rates are going to go up not just at the charging stations,
Mm-hmm.
but also for your home. So really,
I
at the end of the
think,
day, are you saving any money?
Well, yeah.
I think there's the biggest problem is there's this myth now about it. It's being cheap to charge an electric car, and it isn't. A guy called Rich Rebuilds,
Yes.
who he's done a lot of stuff with Teslas, repairing Teslas that can't be repaired, or Tesla are going to charge you 20 grand for a little plastic thing that you could repair yourself, and all this type of stuff. He went around the country. He bought one of these, like it might have been a Lucid or something. It was a really big pickup truck type electric vehicle, and it is apparently it does have like a 500-mile range, but I mean most of the charges were slow, so it was going to take him hours to charge it wherever he went.
Yeah.
And when he was charging it, he was saying, look at this, look at it, the dollars are going up like $1, $2, $3, and it was like $80 for a charge, and he'd only half charged it, and that was going to get him 250 miles. It was $80. It was like, this is a lot more expensive than a petrol vehicle. He was just saying, it was like, this is crazy. I'm only doing this for the fun of it, because it's not practical, it's not inexpensive. I'm only doing it because it's the fun of it. You might as well have a monster truck, because it would be that sort of cost to run it. It's not practical.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's just it's the like when they are first being, you can pre-order a Tesla, and and all the hype behind it, and people are like, oh, I gotta grab one of those. Yeah, absolutely. And I know somebody who was one of the first ones here in this area to grab one finally, after they finally had some in stock, and they were releasing them out to the people that pre-ordered them or whatnot. And it was, look at the brand new toy, taking it for washing it and cleaning it every second day,
Yeah.
and it's, this thing is awesome. And now it's like you don't hear anything about it, other than, oh, I have a Tesla. It's just like everything else.
The excitement that it used to generate has sort of dwindled to some extent, because what's happening now is that as more and more people are getting electric vehicles, and not just Teslas, but like even the F-150 Lightning or any other type of electric cars, they're finding that it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be.
Well, no.
A, because of the cost of charging.
Yeah.
B, because of the impracticality.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, if you want to go on a long journey, and especially when you live in a country like Canada and the US, which is such a large country,
Yeah.
if you want to go anywhere in this country, you need to make absolutely sure that you have the ability to do so. And in an electric vehicles, currently, you don't, and it's impractical. If you have to sit there for an hour just to charge up to 80%, or even if you have a fast charge and it goes 20 minutes to charge from 20% to 80%, say for the sake of the argument, I can go in, fill my gas tank, in under 10 minutes, pay and leave while you're still there waiting for your up to your 80%. You see what I mean? So it's impractical in that sense as well.
Well, it's not only that though. I mean, you're looking at Ford. Ford is talking about halting the production of the F1 Lightning.
Yeah.
And they're not the only ones. I mean, a lot of the
Yeah, I know.
manufacturers now
They're
are
rethinking it.
pausing
Yeah.
because of the supply.
Yeah. And
There is
demand isn't there anymore.
the demand is not there. The supply, they're having troubles with supplies, and the fact that if you really think that the more and more people that buy into this whole electric vehicle bit, that the prices are going to go down, absolutely not. Because of supply and demand and the lack of supply, these vehicles will get more and more expensive.
They'll find an excuse to keep it expensive.
Well,
sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, look at a used car now.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know, and just well, hey,
Yeah. That's why when it came time for me to buy a car, I bought a brand new, because if I was going to spend close to the same amount on a used car as I would on a brand new car, why wouldn't I buy brand new and have the full warranty? Doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, if there was a significant difference between a used vehicle and a brand new vehicle, then I'd say, sure, I'll buy a used vehicle just because I'm saving a lot of money. But if I'm not saving that much money between a used and a new vehicle, I'm going to go for the new vehicle and have the full warranty on the vehicle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's intriguing that we're talking about electric cars.
Yeah. There's a certain character of personality out in society who would never ever have an electric car. That's what you're foreshadowing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And
there's always a method to our madness, Matt.
Yeah. and you know what? I mean, I remember covering this, Matt. I think it was in the first time I had heard about this. The first time covering, I think it was in 2009, I think it was. And I interviewed a guy by the name of James Walbert. And he had just won a Supreme Court case against somebody he had been claiming that was stalking him electrically with direct energy weapons, if you will. And yeah, I know it was just.
He won a case.
He won the case in Supreme Court. He won it.
This is in the US,
he must have had some rock solid evidence. That's crazy.
Well,
I mean, I'd like to hear more details about that, because I mean,
actually, here I'll put up a link to his case.
He wasn't a Freemason, and he could have gone into court and said, like, the Wicked Witch of the West, she's literally hovering over my house, and the judge is like, guilty. Fucking yeah.
Okay, so let me just find his see if I can find a proper let's see. A lot of it's just
people are wondering what we're talking about now. They're going, where are you going with this?
Well, it's got many names. It's electric stalking, electric harassment, where people are making claims of everything from hearing voices in their head.
I had never heard of this until recently, Steve, when you sent me that documentary from Vice.
Yeah,
I had honestly never even heard of this before.
Really? It's been around for a long time.
I'm sure it has. I just never heard of it.
I'm looking for the news article on James.
Why don't you send Matt the link to the show?
I have seen the Vice documentary.
Well,
I had actually seen it before, but like many things that my brain just goes, no, I'd forgotten I'd watched it. And by watching it, I reminded myself of the fact that I watched it, and my feelings were exactly the same. I was not impressed. Really?
Yeah,
not impressed by the actual interview, you mean?
Yeah, I've met some of these people and been in close proximity to them, and I just get a weird
Weird
vibe
vibe.
off them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
I only managed to watch about half, not close to half of it. Um, and it seems like these. Okay, so I don't want to be too harsh on the judgment because
Yeah,
at
there
the
you
end of the
go. That's the way you
harsh.
go like,
You have to be harsh. You really do.
no,
Because I
well,
mean,
okay, so
Mm.
if I'm looking at this from a pragmatic stance,
mhm,
it looks like these people have issues that need to be addressed. How about
mhm,
that?
yep.
You know what I mean?
hmm
Now, I haven't talked to any such person who claims this sort of thing,
hmm
so I can't say for sure. But I mean, I know with the one guy that they interviewed, I think it was the second guy, whatever, he said he had MRIs
hmm
taken. Do we know they're his? Do we know that he doesn't have implants for a reason?
So if you're talking about James Walbert, if you're
no,
In
talking
the
about him,
in the
no.
documentary
in the
we just
Oh,
documentary.
those, yeah, those. Like I said, the Vice documentary is kind of sketchy. It is really sketchy. The only reason why I kind of brought that up was because I know Matt is familiar and has been to the bases conference,
Mhm.
and kind of getting a feel for what that's like, and if he had come across this
more
during the
time.
conference.
Yeah, more. I've been to those conferences more times than I'd like to admit to.
Yeah,
Mm.
and if you have come across this during one of the conferences.
I have met many of these people. I've seen them.
Yeah.
Um, they they come across as rather sketchy people. Like they're not your normal sort of person, and
Mhm.
they wear their colors on their sleeves, as it were. I've always taken it with a pinch of salt. By the way, if anybody wonders what we're talking about, it's a documentary called Targeted Individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. It's a Vice documentary.
Yeah, the links in the description, the show
Mm.
description. So if anybody wants to check it
Oh,
out.
I didn't realize, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, check that out. Then have a look at it. I mean, you know, you don't have to look very far with these people to kind of see manic behavior. What I
Mhm.
would describe as mania, manic,
Yeah.
paranoia. And this is why I always keep a distance away from these people. But I mean, at these conferences, I always say, I mean, there's lots of things in conferences that I don't agree with, and I go, yeah, whatever, But I'm still interested in filming them, helping the people put the productions out there. But I mean, some of the stuff that goes on, I mean, like, whoa. I mean, they were talking about some people in that documentary, like Max Spears. I've met Max Spears. I've had him in my car.
Mhm.
I've given him lifts around the place, whilst before he was going to the conference and afterwards. And that guy was unhinged,
Yeah.
very unhinged.
Mhm.
And I mean, I suppose we can come back into this later because people don't really know what we're talking about here. But I mean,
Yeah.
to go into it now, you'd be going like, it's too much to go into this
Mm.
early. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, unhinged.
Okay, so I have the public records for James Wahlberg's Supreme Court case. I'll send them to you guys, and I'll put them
And this he's from the US, right?
Kansas City.
Okay.
He is a inventor. He is an inventor, and in fact, he was one of the people responsible for the invention or the development of the soup can lining. So you know how soup cans, they have lining,
Yeah.
a particular lining. He is one of the developers, or one of the guys that put this together. He's That's his claim to fame, sort of thing. But he had a dispute with an ex partner of his, and he was claiming that this ex partner had these had been harassing him. because he's developing, excuse me, these really unusual things were happening around him, electronically, from, his car acting up to all sorts of weird little things. And, you don't really pay attention to it other than maybe his car problems or whatever else. Things were happening in his house. And then he started developing, headaches, all sorts of things. And he was noticing certain, I guess, weird sort of electrical impulses being what felt like being directed at him from an unknown source, and all sorts of things. I put the link up to our interview, our interview with him back in 20 or sorry, I think it was 2009. Sorry,
2009. Yeah, this was before I joined the show.
Yeah,
You've actually interviewed this guy. Wow.
I interviewed him twice. Actually,
Wow.
twice interviewed him, and once for Nocturnal Frequency Radio, and of course for another radio show I was doing back in the day.
Did you gain any subscribers?
Yeah.
We weren't on YouTube back then.
Yeah, no, we weren't on YouTube back then.
Yeah. Like when I talk about things that people don't like, I lose subscribers.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. You can watch it, like a video, and you're just like, oh, I lost 12 subscribers on that video. They don't like it. But I go, well, I liked it, so fuck them.
Yeah, no, I don't know. His just something about him and his demeanor and his approach and his story just, I automatically when I heard about this, I'm like, this is crazy. But then I remember digging into, looking into the Army for the U.S. Army. They were dealing with a program basically called Voice to Skull, omitting frequencies through direct means to basically, and they've used these sort of techniques in sort of gang stalking, if you will, where they in fact they used them in Iraq. When they were in Iraq, they used these direct weapons or whatever
they call it non-lethal weapons.
And so basically omitting this frequency that literally drives you in fucking insane, to the point where you scatter and that's what they were doing there. Whenever there was like a mob sort of a gathering of more than say 3 people, they would use these weapons to disperse them, and effectively. So, I mean, these things are out there, but I mean, are they available for the general public? I'm sure if somebody has a lot of money and they're looking to spend it, psyops in Iraq, absolutely. Another sort of example, if you will, that exactly, Lion, I was just going to say the Havana syndrome, which happened, I think, what was it, 2018, somewhere around there, where there was Canadian and American delegates in Cuba that mysteriously started getting, sick, and the sort of the developments they were kind of equating it to these directed energy weapons that the Army was using. So, but for what? Why? So I mean, when I was looking at James Wahlberg's story, I'm like, okay, yeah, we can easily dismiss this guy as being crazy, but who's to say this stuff doesn't really happen in certain circumstances?
Oh, it does.
So
the government's actually stated as much, that they do work on these quote unquote non-lethal
Oh,
weapons.
absolutely.
They've gone on record and said it, but
Mhm.
they're probably maybe okay. So, plausible deniability, right? They hire a third party, off the books, saying, "Here's the technology, test it." Where are you going to test it? You're going to test it obviously in a public environment. You want to try a quote unquote non-lethal weapon to disperse the crowd. You're going to test it where there's a crowd, right? Unbeknownst to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So no doubt this stuff is probably going on right underneath our noses. That we're not aware of. Now what was his name again? Mark?
Who?
James
I think
Wahlberg.
James Wahlberg.
James Mark Wahlberg. Marky Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So James Wahlberg. So just a quick question, because I'm not familiar with the case, and you interviewed him before I came on the show.
Yeah.
Did he win the case against his ex-partner?
From what I understand, he won the case. The claims were that he was being electrically stalked,
Right.
by direct. Okay, hold on. Directed, and so he was trying to prove, from what I understand, that his ex partner was harassing him to the point where it was driving him literally insane. And I don't know. I sent you guys the court documents, so you guys can read about that if you want. That's
bit like that Monty Python sketch, isn't it?
Yeah.
He turned me into a newt.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I got better.
Yeah, I got better. Yeah.
It's like, it's like, they were driving me mad. But like, here I am in court fighting a case where.
So the only reason why
I'm not mad then, am I?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the only reason why I asked that question, Steve, is because if it's a case against an ex-partner, I can understand why he could potentially win that. Had this been against the government, totally different ballgame.
Well, absolutely, but I don't. Right? It wasn't against the government,
right? And that's what I was trying to get at, because I don't think Matt obviously wasn't familiar with this case.
Yeah.
So this is why the chances of someone winning a case of this, for lack of a better term, character, it's much easier if it's someone, or if it's a case against a private citizen as opposed to the government.
Sure, absolutely. But at the same time, think about it. Somebody brings this and it makes it like, from what I remember, I mean, this is it. I have to go back and I have to listen to the interview again. It's been it's been a while, but he had the backing of the governor of Kansas City. There you
go. Freemasons.
Yeah, Freemasons. Yeah. He was backing him and actually was supporting him throughout this, getting the story out to begin with. But the court case was, just, of course, it was the first of its kind. They'd never had a case like this before. And from what I understand, never, obviously not being successful. But this obviously, proving that he was being stalked electrically, I think was the whole point of the case, of winning the case, that he was able to prove through medical documentation and other means that he was in fact being stalked on I guess a non-lethal sort of plane. So I don't know. It's a fascinating case. Nonetheless,
that's quite impressive when you consider that, probably millions of people out there are claiming that they've been, damaged by having a radio transmitter near their house, and everyone goes, no. But like some lone individual can, like in their garden shed, or wherever, can come up with a device that they can sit outside somebody who they don't like's house and fuck with them, like. Who needs voodoo dolls? Like you can just like rig up some sort of radio transmitter and sit outside somebody's house and just beam them. And it's like, this guy, this guy was
Mhm.
obviously working in the wrong industry. He's like having to go at his partner for like plastic lining of cans, but
Yeah.
he's managed to invent a device that the military would kill for.
Well, he didn't invent it. He actually bought it. Like he had all this money. The guy was a millionaire.
Mhm.
But the thing is, think about it. I mean, you look at dogs, okay? You look at dogs, and now they have all these devices that you can buy anywhere that will essentially omit infrasound
Mm.
to disrupt the dog barking, right?
Mhm.
Right. So
I
these,
haven't heard of those, but okay.
well,
Yeah.
you can go on Amazon anywhere. They have them. They're like I forget what they're called. They're not dog whistles, but they're like you can literally point this gun in the direction of where the dog is, and it'll emit infrasound to the point where it irritates the dog while it's barking, causing it to stop.
Yeah.
Right. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah. So I mean, if they have this for a dog, who's not to say they don't have these for humans? Because
Okay.
I mean, infrasound. If we were able to hear infrasound, it would literally drive us insane. It's like listening to germanium crystals. You'd literally get sick, right? So
I'm
I
getting
don't
sick now listening to it. Yeah.
know.
Listening to the concept of it.
Germanium crystals.
Even the name germanium. It's like
Yeah.
I'm feeling my
What?
stomach coming up.
What?
No, don't say it anymore.
I remember. Well, you remember Gary, right, Alex?
Gary Holgate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember he put together a device. He created a device where using germanium crystals to absorb sound
Hmm.
and
I don't
transmit
remember
it.
that, but yeah,
He
I know
brought
he was
it.
into some weird stuff.
He brought it out to DeForest. It was actually pretty fascinating.
I wasn't there, but
Mm.
were you there to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating. Recording it, and because the frequency he had to have it so low that if he had it at a certain the volume was any higher, you'd literally go sick. You'd get sick listening to it. But he had it low enough that you could hear it barely, and you can hear if there was obviously any voices or anything coming through. You could hear the voices, but he built in a recorder for this device as well, and when it transmitted the frequency, it was just fascinating. I'm like, wow, this is pretty neat. The guy was really good at putting these things together, man. I mean, fascinating stuff. Recording sound with germanium crystals. Hey, on the Spectrum Extra and Hellcat Gaming. Welcome. So I don't know. I mean, who's to say? Hey, the Bud Files. Who's not to say that these devices are not available or more readily available than they were? Because like when I interviewed this guy, it was back in 2009, and now when I see this Vice thing on like a targeted individual community, it's like, wow, this thing is like spreading like wildfire. Like we're talking about people coming out of the woodwork. And of course you're going to get a lot of people who are not mentally sane. Like that goes that goes without saying, right?
Yeah. Well, when we talk about this show a bit more, I mean, the thing that I've always noticed about people who aren't quite there, is that the one thing I've noticed from doing like UFO investigations and meeting people and things, and you kind of get a gauge of people is people who have this kind of self-made belief. You can't convince them away from it, and the more you try, the more they will make some excuses for why it is real and why you're wrong and why they're right and why everyone's wrong, why the medical establishment, everyone's wrong except they're right. So you've got like a vacuum around them of like, I'm right and everyone else is wrong. And that's a part of mental illness is kind of like, you know, when you're mentally ill, you don't know it, everyone else does. Yeah. So it's very easy for other people to see, you know, what the problem is. And that came across in that documentary, like very, very strongly in that documentary, was that these people cannot and will not accept anyone else's rationale for what's going on. They're right and everyone else is wrong. Now, yeah, you know, so they're in I mean, you know, they're in a minority group, you know, they're in a very, very marginalized minority group. But I mean, some of the symptoms they are exhibiting, which was put across by the only person who spoke up against this was a professor. And she tried to say, you know, well, people do experience these things, and we just need to help them, which is kind of what you were saying earlier on, Steve. You know, people need help. But at the end of the day, I mean, manifest kind of symptoms that these people are displaying is classic psychosis, and you could even say schizophrenia.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things out there in this sort of realm that you know, people will try anything possible to make you believe. And you know, you really, to the point where a lot of people do feel sorry for for them, because they are suffering from something other than what they're, you know, telling you what they're suffering from. But and yeah, they don't want the type of help that they need. They want other help that logistically isn't there.
Yeah, they
know?
not only tell you they want help, but when help is offered, they find excuses not to go for that help as well, which came across in the documentary.
Yeah.
Because you know, oh yeah, normal this can't help me, normal that can't help me, nothing can help me, nobody's going to help me, so I'm on my own and I'm fighting a battle against the world, and it's just me against the world, and me and a few others against the world. And it's kind of like it comes across as kind of these people are trying to isolate themselves as special or you know, worthy of targeting, which I think they did mention in the program. Was kind of like, well, why would anybody want to target you? Why?
That's exactly what I was telling Steve before the show. I go, why? It's like, what special trait or value do you have that the so-called establishment or whatever you feel is the establishment wants to target you specifically?
And an important point as well is, say for instance, you were being really targeted by one of these shadowy government organizations or the military. Yeah, well, the moment you start going on TV programs screaming about it would be the time they say we stop with him now because he's being too vocal. You know, because now he's going to tell everybody what's going on, and then people will start looking into it, which is self-defeating. Because if you want to do a secret program where you're experimenting on people, you don't want everyone standing up saying, I'm being experimented on. So you would stop experimenting on them. They're not going to be the classic type of targets you'd want to go for. But literally real time, one of the people on the program was saying that they're speaking to me now. They're saying, don't speak to you. And it's like, what? So there's a two-way radio communication. Like everything that's coming through your eyes, your brain, and your ears is being transmitted to some shadowy government organization. We're receiving all this brainwave and nerve data, decoding it, and then working out what's going on and then saying, no, we need to tell him no.
Yeah.
No, don't speak to them. Now that to me is like, that's far-fetched, because
Mhm.
that and then they're targeting you individually, because, like, I mean, we're talking like next level technology here, stuff that, Elon Musk would die for this type of technology. He wants to get Neuralink in people's brains. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even he can put an implant in people's brains that's going to do this sort of stuff. The military have been wanting for years to get like interfaces like this. They can't even read your brain waves. The best scientists, the best doctors in the world can't even tell what you're thinking or doing, via brainwaves. But somehow, not only have they got this technology, but they've been rolling it out to random people in society. And in order to put these implants in your head, which they seem to all think they have, like I've got an implant.
Yeah.
They'd have to literally abduct you, implant you, remove the memory of all that happening, and then put you back out there. And then it's like, oh, so I've got all these implants in me. Well, where did they come from? They didn't teleport them into you, did they? They had to abduct you, implant you. Surely you'd have had scars or some sort of like, waking experience, like, oh, I've been injured, what's going on? And you'd think, well, fucking somebody's done something to me. Somebody's injured me. I've got to, you'd be for days recovering, like, oh, the pain, and it's like, no, just magically, these people have got implants in them. And they skip over that point, like, well, how did that get in there? How did it magically get in there? You're talking about brain surgery. One guy was showing MRIs and he said, look, it's there in my brain.
The best part was when he got the guy to put his fingers in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to have any sort of like, will you wash your hands and now you can put your fingers in my mouth. He was just like, get your fingers in my mouth now.
Maybe it's a turn on.
Weird. Weird behavior.
He's willing to fucking have surgery to have them taken out. Take what out?
He was willing. He was willing to have surgery. They were looking into it, but what did they say on the program? They said they didn't go to Spain to get the treatment.
No. Oh man.
Because of excuses. This is another thing with like mental illness I've noticed is like you say to people, right, you're having an experience. I'll give you the kit to try and prove it, and we'll record it, and we'll put cameras in there, and we'll do excuses. That's when the excuses come, because people who are mentally ill don't want you to get close to what it is that will fix them, or will be they're too paranoid to allow you to really do surgery on them. They're too paranoid. They would start getting paranoid that the place they found in Spain was just part of a government conspiracy, and was just people with more implants in them. They wouldn't accept it, So they find a reason to say no. So like they said in the program, these people say they need help. They were going to get help, and then they had to, no, we can't get help now. So sorry. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of like that storyline in the X-Files.
You mean the storyline?
The storyline.
The one storyline they had in the X-Files.
The
one storyline.
I've never watched X-Files.
How did they get an implant in me? The hybrids. So I mean, that's another thing though, Matt. I mean, you could equate it to the abduction community as well, right? I mean, a lot of them have claimed that they've been implanted.
They do.
I mean, so
aliens have got a bit better technology than us, I would imagine. So they probably could wipe your memories and could kind of take you out of time and freeze you.
They can travel through space.
Yeah. But I mean, we're dealing with, targeted. This whole thing of targeted individual.
Mm-hmm.
I translate that into I'm special. See, I mean, that's the way I read it. Targeted individual means I'm special. And that's what troubles me with all of this. Is it's like, you've got a bunch of people who are kind of saying, so I'm important enough that they would use me. And then keep using them, even though they're screaming and shouting about it, shouting off the highest steeples. And And like one of the guys in the documentary, he like somebody walked up to him in the path and said, "What are you doing?" And he couldn't wait to tell this complete random stranger,
Yep.
literally, I have implants in my head, and they're doing a documentary about the implants in my head because they're real. And this was, oh, how does that work then? Oh, well, they control me from satellites.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, you know, and it's like, that's not a
Yeah.
conversation you have with probably anybody.
Mhm.
But these people are just so like blasé about it. Oh yeah, this is my special secret power. It is like, you know, oh, it's the emperor's new clothes to me. You know,
Yeah.
there's nothing there, but it's something to go telling everybody you've got. Makes you feel special. I worry about that. And then I worry about the fact that these people don't think about how odd it sounds that they're being singled out by satellites that are like just affecting them. You know, I've heard people who are talking about being controlled by radio waves. And I'm like, well, radio waves don't necessarily go in straight lines. They fan out.
Yep.
So therefore, anyone who's in the beam of that radio wave, that everyone's going to be going crazy around it. Like your neighbor is, you are, you're up, you know, your family, like your partner, they're all going to be going crazy too because they're all being affected by this radio wave that you think is being transmitted. But no, the radio wave just goes in the house, down the corridor, goes down the stairs. It's making a beeline just for you, and it ignores everyone else. You know,
You're the receiver.
you know. Yeah, you know, it's like
Uh,
they've got your brain number, so they go, this message for this is only for this brain, and all the
Yep.
other brains are just going to ignore it. You know, it just seems like this is stretching it. You know,
yeah, like I said, it's an odd realm. It really is.
Yeah.
And but like I said, it's exploded. It's exploded. I hadn't paid attention to it for years. And then like I said, I saw this Vice documentary on it, and I'm like, wow, there's a whole community now. What the hell? You know,
Yeah.
watching this community and going, Jesus Murphy.
Yeah.
And the people that they interview, the one lady who has her special nightgown
Oh,
while
Oh.
she's sleeping.
And the one that sleeps in like the one of those what's it
The
called?
lead fucking
Yeah.
the foil whatever.
No, but she
Hey.
also has like a rental, like one of those rental places, like the storage places that she sleeps in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that
like,
the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like, was that normal behavior? This woman was never living in her house. She was walking the streets all day,
Mhm.
like with radio gear and like, you know, trying to work out whether she was being beeped and blasted by radio waves.
Yeah.
And every night she was trying to sleep in a different place.
Mhm.
What? So they can't get to you? Surely, if it's a wide beam of, it's probably like hitting half of the south of England. This fucking satellite beam is going bong. You know, like, so you know, going from one location to the next, going from one metal box storage container,
Yeah.
you know, to a park, by definition, you could be anywhere in the whole of the south of England and it would still be getting you. So
Yep.
why do you think moving from place to place is affecting the signal? If you're out in the open, that's the worst place to be. And
Well,
what
yeah,
was she
yeah.
doing? What was she doing?
In the
She was
park.
always being interviewed in a park
Yeah.
or in the open, wanted to be in the sun, wanted to be in nature. Well, that's where the fucking signal's going to get you the most.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
didn't make no sense. That is like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It has red flags all over it, that one. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean these people, like I said, the documentary are people that obviously don't not good examples of this at all.
Well, they
And
are actually. They're the perfect examples.
well,
They're
yeah.
exact. typical type of
So
person that's having that experience, and they don't. What they say does not make a lot of sense.
yeah, and then you have this guy years ago, James Wahlberg, who comes, prancing into Supreme Court with his case, and he like, yeah, he literally proves that he's being electrically stalked.
Do you, I mean, I'm not being like ultra skeptic here, but do you
No, you
know?
have to be. You have to be.
Do
You
you
absolutely know.
know that he actually won his case
Well,
for that
the case,
with what he said he
the
won it over? Because
the
Hold on. The link you sent, Steve, is James Wahlberg versus the Wichita Police Department.
oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, so I
Okay,
don't know if you
hold
sent
on.
the right link, because this is
Oh,
where
no,
he's
no,
suing the
okay.
Wichita Police Department for
Oh.
not protecting him against his ex-partner.
Okay, so
Not the Supreme Court one.
that's the beginning of it. Sorry, hold
Yeah,
on. Let
that's
me see.
civil, and that was in
That
2010. So
yeah.
this,
Oh, that was in 2010.
yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. I had them, but I don't know.
yeah, and somebody was just saying willful ignorance is another byproduct of internet connectivity. These types of people love being validated by their brethren. Well, that's the thing. The internet does bring these communities together, whereas
Yeah.
in the past, people wouldn't have been talking about this so much, and they probably would
Yeah.
have just been isolated and having strange thoughts, and some would have sought medical help and some wouldn't. And I know some people that I have said to them on multiple occasions, when they're coming out with crazy shit, and I've just said, like, you so fucking need to go and see a doctor,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. It's other people. It's real. I'm not wrong. I'm right. Everyone else is wrong. And I'm like, okay.
I find one thing that's rather intriguing is the terminology military neuroscience. And what was it? I think it was President Obama announced that it was called, I believe, what was it called? It was called Brain, the Brain Initiative, I think it was called. And basically, it was something to do with being able to omit health. What was it? His way of saying omit healthy brain waves as a type of treatment in helping people with neurological issues. And I'm like, okay, really,
So
that does
like a
that?
brainwave tune-up, you mean?
Well, not so much a tune-up, but okay. For instance, you're in a doctor's office and you're lying down on the examination table and you're sitting in the waiting for the doctor to show up, and there's an intercom in there and it's playing lounge music, and you really don't understand or really pay attention to what kind of effect that lounge music is having with you while you're waiting for that doctor to show up, right? I mean, it's an aspect that really does play on your mind. That music being played when you're listening or
Yeah.
when you're waiting for the doctor, it's the number one. You're already nervous. You're probably already. I hate doctors. I got white coat syndrome. Oh, it's okay. We'll play some real jazzy, stuff that'll make him feel at ease and, calm him down, and his heart rate will slow down and blah, blah, blah,
No, I think it was specifically targeted music which had been
Yeah,
created just before you came in with a message
exactly.
just for you, Steve. That's what I think it is. Yeah. And everyone else was in that, like,
It doesn't
surgery.
affect anybody else, just
Doesn't
Steve.
affect anybody else. It's just like a microwave beam, like a laser, like just coming straight for
Exactly.
you.
It gives him an erection.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's I mean, we can look at everything from including like EMF. I mean, it's a known fact that EMF does wreak
EMF,
havoc. Huh?
EMF. There's a lot of that on the internet.
Yeah,
EMF,
EMF. EMF,
Muff.
magnetic frequency, right? Does
ele-
play
electromagnetic frequency. Yeah.
does wreak havoc on you, depending on is it a low frequency, is it a high frequency, is it for long periods of time, short periods, short bursts, has different effects on the human brain, right? Am I correct
Yeah.
on this, Matt?
I do believe that, I mean, there's been scientific evidence shown that some people are susceptible to certain radio
Yeah.
frequencies. Some people can pick up radio frequencies, such as radar. They can
Mhm.
hear it in their heads.
Mm.
So there is an element to this. And this is why it's so tantalizing
Yeah.
to kind of run down a rabbit hole with this type of stuff. Because,
Mm.
I mean, a lot of the microwave transmitters, mobile phones, they don't want to admit to any of this stuff because they think, oh shit, we're going to become liable. So they're kind of, they're just playing dumb. There is electromagnetic fog, which can affect health,
Yeah.
but not a lot of scientific research has been done into it, and that could be on purpose. Now, some people say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. The reason the military, the government, the army don't want any research done on this is because they know how powerful it is as a weapon, because they've already got it as a weapon. Well, yeah, maybe in some sort of like remote examples, they've tested these sorts of weapon systems. There's a channel called Technology Ingredients,
Mhm.
and this guy, I think he might be Canadian actually.
Go figure.
Yeah. He said like how to protect yourself against a sonic weapon, which they do have,
Mhm.
and potential microwave weapons, which some people think they have.
Mhm.
So he went down the line of like how much power would it take to affect you from a distance, and if it was, what could protect you from it. So they actually did some experiments on it, and they were saying like the amounts of power that you have to transmit are massive to affect a crowd.
Yeah.
They're huge, and it's hard to direct it. And at the moment, the only thing that they can really do is make you feel like you're feeling little sensations of burning on your skin,
Mhm.
and it just makes you feel like and burning. But I mean, even that is kind of like, this is military technology,
Mm.
possibly, but it's not very clever technology. It's not like going, sit down, go to sleep. It's not like a voice
Yeah.
inside your head,
Yeah.
which is what
Yeah.
all these people are talking about. Like, I'm being controlled. The voice is in my head.
Voice to skull.
Yeah. And the funny thing is as well, like one of the guys in this documentary is saying like, this thing is saying like I should kill my mother.
Oh
And
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm
I
like,
got to that part.
wow.
I go, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think?
But he says, yeah, but I ignore all those voices. And it's like, yeah, so do I. I have fucking voices in my head that go like, look at that fucking fat bird over there. Like, and it's like, and I'm going, that's terrible. I'm going, well, that's a voice in my head. I'm like,
Mm.
it's your voice. That's the problem is people don't know how to differentiate. They go in like, no, that's not my voice. No, I have dark thoughts popping in my head all the time.
Sure,
I mean,
everybody does.
I mean,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
you might want to not talk about them and admit to them because they're so out there, like squishing people and things and setting off nuclear bombs. And what would happen if I just blew everybody away with a nuclear bomb? Oh, that's not a nice thought. I'll just not do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like thoughts enter your head. That's what imagination comes from, because you can play these things out in your head. The trouble is that I think some of these people are mistaking these voices, which can be quite sarcastic, can be quite negative, can take you down roads you don't want to go down, and it's sort of like thinking things you think, oh, that's nasty. I don't want to think that, but these people can't differentiate between
Yeah.
that's me talking to me, ignore. Yeah. These people are like, no, that's external. That's not me. I wouldn't think that. That's somebody else. That's an external thought coming in. Well, that's peachy, because I mean, like, most people can differentiate between what's going on in their own head and what's going on outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, right? A lot
Mm.
of them. So many of them. And it's not just in that realm. It's in so many facets of life. And look at you. You're getting fake news. This isn't real. And how do you determine, like, that's the thing? How do you determine what is real and what isn't with some of these people?
Mm.
Some of them are such amazing actors. They can
Just
convince you of
reading
anything.
comments. Yeah.
Which one?
I don't know. On the Spectrum is saying, it was rubbish because it doesn't work and it just plays on mental health. Just makes you think it's working, but in fact it is not.
Mm.
Well, mental health is not a exact science, is it? That's the, what did he say? I said this is one of his other messages. I'm trying to work out what he's on about. I think that strange people need to express their feelings more. Also, online has improved a lot of people's mental health. Well, I think living online doesn't, because you're not
No.
having normal social interaction, which is
No.
required, but yeah. So not quite sure what you're on about, but okay.
Talking about Harry Potter. No, I'm just reading Paul's response. I feel sorry for my friend. I'm not I'm not talking Harry Potter.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, I definitely need a recharge of my electromagnetic batteries with some, sort of liquid electromagnetic lubricant. So I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break here. When we come back, station identification on the New Visions Radio Network. So, of course, you guys listening on the New Visions Radio Network, thank you for tuning in. And again, if you're watching us here on YouTube or Twitch, thank you for popping in. And the chat is, I want to say hi to people like Mark and on the Spectrum Extra, Melissa, Tracy, Paul, Sue, Barry's in there. Who else?
Marcy's in there.
Mars. Hey, Mars, how are you? Lion 39, how are you, man? How's it going? Matt's in there. Cal, and our good friend Kristen. Thank you again. I had an interview with her earlier today for her show.
You did that show? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you again. That was
I'll be ready that with a thumbs down, Kristen. Just joking. Just joking.
Really, really good interview. Really had fun. Thanks again, Kristen. And you're one of our favorite guests. We always love having you on the show. So you do a wonderful job with the Paranormal Girl podcast. So yeah, hold tight, folks. We're gonna take our station identification. And look, Matt's back. hold tight. We're just gonna take our station identification, and we'll be right back.
Good evening. I'm Richard Palmisano, the founder of the Searcher Group. It's a paranormal company, the oldest in Canada. I founded it in 1979, which not only makes me old, but makes me doing paranormal research and field work for just under 45 years now. I am also an author, researcher, and lecturer on the paranormal. I've written 6 books now. And I really enjoy coming on with Steve and Alex on Nocturnal Frequency Radio, as well as listening to the shows, because there's a lot of interesting guests there. I like it, looking at this stuff, because it opens your mind to other options and other alternative thoughts. And, there's always time to learn new things. So I hope you join us and come and see Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Thank you.
So let me ask you, what makes for good radio?
My 5 favorite songs all day long.
Play it again.
No.
As many commercials as physically possible.
What? No, why would that be good?
Great music, great talk shows, no commercials.
Precisely. New Visions Radio gives you no commercials, no nonsense, just the best new music and the best talk all day long, 24/7, 365. NewVisionsRadio.com.
Hey guys, Kristen here, host of the Paranormal Girl podcast, a bingeable exploration and deep dive education about the paranormal for the skeptical believer. Some of my past season topics have included shadow people, Mandela effect, demons, and UFOs. Currently, I am tackling Bigfoot. I have been sharing this journey with my audience since early 2021, and I have learned a lot these last few years. It's truly a mysterious world out there beyond our perceptions, and reality is just not what it seems. I have also, since the start, met some awesome folks like Alex and Steve, and I've really enjoyed watching and learning from them and also joining them on their show. Their guests are always outstanding, their listeners are just the coolest, and these hosts are some of my favorite people. I recommend their show to anyone looking for an intelligent and fun conversation about the paranormal amongst friends. So join me on my investigation, join Steve and Alex on theirs, and enjoy. Now back to the show. You are watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
And that you are. Thank
Bloody
you.
hell, she's professional, isn't she?
He is.
And she's in the chat.
And she's
Jesus.
in the chat. She's in
Bloody
the
hell.
chat. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for those who are tuned in the New Visions Radio Network. Always pleasure to be here on Sunday nights. And of course, simulcasting here on YouTube and Twitch, as well as Tuned In Radio. Matt, you
go to me like Alex.
Yeah,
like,
I'm going to go to Matt.
me. He's got to Matt again. He's got to Matt again.
Hey, he's always busting my balls. It's about time he busts someone else's balls.
Go on, then. Go on. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. Methodically, right?
I am listening entirely and intently.
So, you know, all this chatter about, directed energy weapons and implants and all that stuff. I mean, a lot of the unseen world, if you will, like, the paranormal and, a lot of what happens with UFOs. And I mean, what do you think a percent? What would you say a percentage of what is happening or what people perceives as being real, as opposed to no, it's just a conspiracy theory?
Sorry, the question is, what percentage of what people experience is real?
Do you think is real? Is authentic?
there's always going to be an element, I think, of people's want to believe or misperception of events, and trying to rationalize it, so they'll put it in a box, and then when you become obsessed with these things, as we do, then you're always trying to fit something into a particular box. I would say that probably a lot of people's perceptions are not what they think they are, and they don't know a lot, so we could say maybe 50% or higher of people's perceived experiences you could probably put down to something like wishful belief, like mental kind of aberrations, imaginations that then become believable.
Yeah.
It's like when you have a hypnotherapy session and they take you into a past life, then people will come back from that and they'll start going, oh, I integrate this now. Yeah, that's real. That I feel that's real. That's real.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like they don't question it. They don't kind of look at what other possibilities could be there, and it becomes part of their life. They just accept it. So I think that there's not always, and I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I mean, I've seen a lot of things in my time, and I choose to believe that is proof of UFOs. But I mean, you could probably pick it apart and go, well, maybe not. There's a lot of that going on. But I mean, it's a hard question. I mean, because it's a guesstimate I would be giving you, but I would say it's probably over half of people's experiences are wrong. But what we're always looking for, I think, with these subjects is not, the accumulation of wrong experiences. We have to wade through the gray area to get to the really good stuff, which is kind of like slightly more weighty. And that's the problem with these subjects is, you're kind of dealing with things that are not physical, don't hang around,
Mhm.
and you have sketchy, fleeting moments with these experiences. So yeah, it's trying to put the pieces together. And I mean, I suppose if you took me and my beliefs in crop circles, which to outsiders sounds crazy and sounds like bullshit, sounds like something there's a guy would make up to get some attention, or something like that, I was just trying to kind of, please believe me, please, it's very desperate, a lot of that kind of when you tell people your experiences and nobody else can kind of relate to it because they don't have those experiences, you're like shouting out into the wilderness trying to convince people of something that they don't really accept. And I mean, I know I kind of have that. I know what that feels like to kind of try and talk to people who are kind of going, yeah, I want to know more, but what are you going to give me? And it can kind of sound wild.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
then there's me now taking the mickey out of these people, or sort of not believing some of that stuff in that documentary, having a really hard time with it. I've got to be perfectly honest. And then you go like, well, there before, what's the say? Where before the grace of God go I, or something. It's kind of like, well, yeah, this is hard subject matter to digest. And unless you were living it and you knew it to be the truth, then, it's good. And even if you know it to be the truth, it's going to be really hard to convince other people that it's the
Absolutely.
truth,
Yeah.
So we all live in that world. Yeah.
I mean, do you think it's really a waste of time trying to convince people and just go on your merry way?
This is kind of why I'm more interested in the nuts and bolts stuff that's coming out with UFOs now, like congressional hearings, people who say we've got the physical craft.
Mhm.
We've got, because everything else is so much harder to kind of deal with. It's really hard to convince people of the paranormal. You can read books and you can watch TV programs, you can listen to talk and you can hear it. And it's like, until you've experienced something for yourself, you're never really going to believe.
Yeah.
You're going to go, oh, well, they're all crazy. They're all writing books, but they're all kind of crazy. And, you're going to put yourself in your own box, which is like a normal world, everything that everyone else is experiencing. You're just like this agreed on reality of this is what's there.
Yeah.
And you're not going to accept that stuff until something's happened to you, something that you really do deeply believe.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's still belief.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Hence the
Absolutely.
reason why there's so many different religions in the world.
Mm.
Because belief is just that, it's belief, right? And if it suits your purposes, your personal purposes, and your personal sort of wish list, you'll choose to believe it. And once you do, it's very difficult to try to sway you otherwise, right? And the paranormal is no different, because there isn't a way that, well, I'm aware of anyway, that you can make this, these sort of events happen at will. It's extremely difficult to prove, like you said earlier, Matt. And then that's part of the problem with the paranormal. This is part of the reason why the scientific community at large wants nothing to do with it, right? Because it's, how can you, right? Unless we can come up with some way to actually make it happen when we want it to happen, then there's really no reason for them to invest any time and money into the paranormal. And this is part of the reason why it's just sort of looked at as like, yeah, whatever, passing fancy, so to speak.
Well, I think there are studies going on.
Yeah, no,
Constantly.
I'm talking more of, at large.
No,
right?
I know
There's
you're saying.
individuals that are definitely involved within the scientific community.
Yeah. But I mean, you just don't want to people who may be thinking that you're going, well, science has turned its back on the paranormal. That's not the case.
Mhm.
They're constantly studying all sorts of things. And, I mean, one of the greatest questions I think we'll continuously study until maybe one day we might have an answer. We all have that answer. Unfortunately, what happens after life after death, if there is, I mean, that we all find out eventually, but beforehand, I mean, are we ever going to find the answer beforehand? Do you think we will, Matt? Do you think we'll understand what happens after death?
Well, I just always believe that I never used to believe this, but because I was quite skeptical, I didn't believe in religions and believe in life after
Yeah.
death and things like that. But now that I'm kind of on that curve of believing, that there's something there,
Mhm.
I think that it makes me believe that that's the purpose of life, is
Yeah.
to kind of prepare yourself and find out more about where you're going. If you kind of live life as kind of like materialistic, every thought and action is based around here and now, and how am I going to cement what I have around me now, it's not looking down the road. It's kind of short-sighted in some respects, but I can understand that, because a lot of people, they don't want to look at this stuff because I think they find it a little bit frightening, and that can sound patronizing as well, because people say, oh, I'm not frightened of that shit, I just think it's bullshit. That's what a lot of people would say. I just think it's bullshit. It's not that I'm not looking for it. I believe that once you've experienced something, then that becomes your overriding path to kind of where you're going. I'm kind of not sure if I answered the question. I think I was trying to, but yeah,
In a roundabout way.
Yeah, in a roundabout way.
that's where you're going. So yeah, if that gets close. Sorry, I forgot what the question was, but yeah.
Do you think we'll ever
I
understand
started
life
in the
after
right
death?
place.
Yeah.
I hope I
Yeah.
ended in the right place. Yeah.
That's fine. That's usually how all of our answers, like Steve and I's answers anyway. Don't worry about it. Get
Yeah,
right in.
pretty much same thing.
But,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, even with people who have out of body experiences, and then come back to relate the story. Like I almost got to that level myself when I was younger, where I had no idea what out of body experiences were when this occurred to me, where I was meditating to try to get myself to fall asleep sooner because I always had issues with falling asleep. And it
This
got to
is-
one point
This is
where
when he tells you he was implanted.
yeah, exactly. No, but it got to one point where I felt myself lifting outside of my body, but because I didn't know what the fuck was going on, I snapped awake, and that was it. I couldn't do it anymore after that. So, but it felt like the key takeaway to that is that I actually felt myself lifting outside of my body, right? So if that's possible, and I'm saying this is an if because it didn't actually happen to me. When it started to happen, I just sort of got freaked out and snapped awake. But if it is in fact possible that you can lift yourself out of your body, then there's, in my opinion anyway, there's got to be something beyond this physical realm,
Mhm.
right? If that's possible. If it isn't, then it's just, a sensation that occurred because I was half in and out of sleep, or kind of like when you fall in your dream and you kind of wake up before you hit the ground, that kind of sensation. If that's the case, then who knows what's after, if anything, right?
Mm.
That was pretty deep, Alex.
Yeah, I'm about it's liquid courage.
Yeah. Well, let's get drunk and we can reveal all our personal
Our deepest,
paranormal
darkest secrets.
thoughts.
Yeah,
As-
Kristen actually just posted in the chat saying she had this experience herself. I know, and you've listened to her show, Steve, and
Yep.
there was a one point where she was. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, but you were experimenting with meditation and this sort of thing, and yeah, she had something similar to this. Yeah, and it is crazy. Like, this is why, like, I mean, when it happened to me, I had no idea what out of body experiences were, or astral projection. I had nothing. Like, I had heard the terms, but I didn't delve into them. So when it happened to me, it completely freaked the fuck out of me, and I snapped awake, and I couldn't. And here's the funny thing: I couldn't meditate anymore after that. No matter how hard I tried, I wasn't able to meditate. Whereas before this event, I had gotten so proficient at it that within minutes I was able to fall asleep. Whereas before I started meditating, it would take me half an hour to an hour to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sounds like a defense mechanism,
Yeah,
possibly.
kicking
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And your brain is saying, "Whoa, yeah, maybe I'm not comfortable with this, so
Exactly.
I'm gonna like limit all your possibilities now for kind of inroads to that thing." And I would dare say that you probably could get that back online if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's do you know what I've found sometimes when I've done experiences, I feel a lot more comfortable in a group situation where you're getting some sort of confirmation you're doing the right thing. That's good, and maybe because it's your personal journey on your own into an unknown realm. Something's gone, I'm not sure about this, so I'm going to retract. I mean, your brain said, I'm going to retract from this, and I'm not going there again. That's it. But like, if you were to, go back into it, maybe with a bit more surround of support,
Like-minded
that you may,
individuals.
maybe as a group, about meditation group, talking about these things and working through it, you might kind of open yourself back up. But that sounds like an instinctive reaction, like, shit, I don't want
That's
to
what
go
it
there.
felt like. Yeah, that's exactly what it felt
I
like,
don't want to
because
go
I
there.
snapped awake. Yeah.
I think too, in a lot of occurrences, a lot of experiences too, that much like what Alex was saying, that people like to have self-control, and when they lose that control, they don't get the full experience because they can't let themselves go.
Mm.
They
That's
can't.
a big part of it.
Yeah. So you can't, you won't allow yourself to cross that threshold because you're afraid you're going to lose that control.
I mean, had I known back then what I know now about astral projection and out of body experiences, I probably would have let it go.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing. This was in my early 20s, if not, actually, it was probably actually my late teens, to be honest with you, because I think I was still in high school when this happened. But yeah, it was a weird scenario. I had started meditating literally just because I was having issues falling asleep. So I wanted to sort of meditate to help myself fall asleep faster. I had no idea that this was going to happen, or was even possible for that matter. And then when it did, it just freaked the hell out of me. It's almost like that dream I had when I was about 10-ish, where I got over my fear of flying through a dream, a vivid dream, like where I could actually feel myself flying. That could have, for all intent and purposes, be considered somewhat of an out of body experience, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Kind of weird.
Quite possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you, Matt? Have you had any experiences like that?
The only thing that popped into my mind was when you were talking about like feeling like you were rising up out of your body. I remember quite vividly when I was a kid. I had lots of going to sleep experiences where I would be like looking up and thinking, I'm drifting away now, but I'm rising. And I would literally feel myself physically. It felt like I'm feeling not just a visual rising, but I'm feeling a physical rising, like I'm rising up towards the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then I would bounce down and would bounce up and bounce down. I've heard stories. I can't remember exactly where I've heard these, but I've heard stories about people feeling like they're bouncing, and it would be like I'm going up to the ceiling and back down. And, that used to happen a lot. That wasn't just an isolated experience, but yeah, weird, very strange. Don't know what to make of it, but yeah.
Yeah, that is quite unusual. Yeah. I mean, I've had,
Maybe I was being raped by a paedophile, and I've just blanked the memory out. That was me, like my face.
What the hell was he doing to you? Like just bouncing you up and down like this?
Sorry. It was like me against the ceiling, like going, no. Sorry. This is a radio show where you have to be. Do we have to be careful? I just sort of like, yeah.
Nah, we don't give a fuck.
Until Ray contacts us the next day. What the fuck are you guys? No, he's good.
I just had a mental image, Matt. I don't know how we're going there.
You think?
Yeah. It's like this enormous, like the size of an elephant, fat bloke who was like, pressing it against the ceiling. Like, it's like...
all we have to say is that Matt no longer has any constipation issues.
No.
Yeah.
No. When I go to the toilet, I just pull this side and pull that side, and it's out it comes. I just made him choke. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
there's the comedic relief for the night.
Yeah. What's the toilet seat for? Is to get one arse flap over and the other arse flap over. You just peel them over the edges so there's no spillage. Yeah.
Just be careful you don't create a hermetic seal.
Hermetic seal.
Yeah.
You need abduction when you got a toilet seat. Oh god.
I'm sorry, folks. I always take things to a very great level.
That's okay. We're the same way.
I'm not at all serious. Yeah.
There's Matt's astral projection.
Well, we can kind of say that that's more like anal projection.
I'm so unserious, right? I mean, like, you want an embarrassing one, right? I mean, I was having a sexual encounter with somebody once, and they started like moaning, and I was just like, I was just bursting into laughter. I was like, I was just like fucking laughing. Well, that was my sexual experience over for the night. That's all I can fucking say. Yeah, because I just couldn't get over the old the old okay. So I was like, oh yeah. But anyway, there we are.
Dude,
I can't take anything seriously, including my own personal pleasure.
dude,
There we are.
it's a good thing we don't have the 70s porn star with us tonight.
Oh fuck.
God. Oh, that's too much.
I tell you what, it shut my fun down like that. So don't do it, folks. Just smile and go.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't laugh. Never laugh.
Nope.
No.
The poster now. Matt Williams, I travel the universe.
And laugh at groaning sounds.
Oh God.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't take anything seriously, and I even like to. I have this kind of thing. I do get scared when I go out and do some paranormal stuff. I do, but I also have this kind of thing of thinking, why do I need to be scared? Just because something's trying to scare me? I have this kind of like laugh at that, laugh at the paranormal. Don't be scared, And some people said to me like, why are you kind of? But it's usually when there's more than one person around. I feel comfort in a group. But where everybody else is getting shit scared, I'm going like, I'm enjoying this. This is great. This is like fun time. Like, yeah, this is what I came for. So I like to kind of push those bounds, but
absolutely,
you wouldn't get me jumping out of a aircraft anytime soon. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've got weird things that I kind of like to delve into, and other things I'm like, yeah.
But but you love flying. You fly.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't jump out of an aircraft.
It'd take a lot of mental determination to make me want to do that.
I'm the same way. I love flying, but I don't know if I'd be able to jump out of one.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah,
when I was younger, maybe. Now, definitely not.
But yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, Matt. I mean, I think I thrive in that situation. I when I think you're in that scenario where things are supposed to, well, mentally people think that these things are supposed to scare you, and they don't. I mean, you literally get a natural high off expecting something to happen, and when that does happen, you're like, wow, this is amazing.
I want to feed that loop. Like, I'm like,
yeah,
I'm gonna feed this. Come on, more.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like in that sort of mode, not like, oh shit, I need to run away.
No,
like, oh,
I never understood that. I never understood those paranormal shows or those paranormal groups. They go to investigations for the purpose of investigating, but then the minute something happens, they scream like,
"Dude, run!"
Little bitches.
Running
out of there.
Yeah,
that was like the common theme on what was it, Ghost Hunters. Brian Harnois, dude, run! Fuck.
I mean, what are you going to run? It's a freaking ghost. It could chase you at 1 billion miles an hour.
He was watching too many fucking Scooby-Doo episodes.
Stand your ground. Like, stand your ground. Don't run.
Come on.
But, I mean, just the idea of, and not okay, the paranormal shows aside, I mean, I am sure that there's more than one occasion where paranormal groups will go into an investigation, and the minute they hear something odd, they'll freak out and leave.
Oh, fuck.
What's the point of fucking doing these investigations if that's what you're going to do?
Yeah, and like something makes you feel bad, like, oh, I'm feeling odd. Well, yeah, that's called a ghost. That's what you came for.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah.
It's like that thing we analyzed. What was it last week, Alex? Sam and Colby.
Oh yeah,
they're in the Conjuring House, the real Conjuring House, and they hold on, Matt, I gotta play it. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this.
I've heard of Sam and Colby. I haven't really watched any of their videos, but I've heard of them.
Oh God. you know, forcefully, you hear somebody fucking stomping on the floor.
Yeah, where's the production crew? It's just like, yeah, are they all accounted for?
Apparently, there's 16 in that 16 members of the production crew, and there's nobody around except for what apparently that was the owner sitting down on the couch, and then the two staff members. One of the staff members, the female, is the girlfriend. I believe the girlfriend of the dude from Ghost Hunters. Oh God, I can't even think of his name. His son's girlfriend. So you got that connection too. But come on, really?
I don't know. Maybe, you know, you know,
I'd like to
we could
believe
be
it. But
throwing darkness on this one, but you know, you never know. You
yeah,
never know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to believe it. Yeah, I really would. But
You and I, Steve, got to go to the Conjuring house and do our own investigation.
Trouble
yeah,
is, that could be the best evidence that's ever been produced, but because it's so bloody good, none of us will believe it.
Yeah.
There you go. It's just too good. Too good to
clear.
be
Wait
true.
a sec, what's going on? Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's another area. You know, I mean, even if you do get evidence, I mean, are people going to believe it?
Yeah.
That's another
the
thing.
thing.
You know, in
No.
this day and age, with all the technology that we have and
Yeah,
the
like
wonderful things we can do.
shoes,
Yeah, like
and
shoes.
legs and feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and this is where you know you differentiate different people, right? So as some people are doing this for their 5 minutes in the fame, 5 minutes in the spotlight, you know what I mean, whatever you want to call it. If that's the only reason why you're doing this, then I tend to question everything you present as so-called evidence, right?
Hmm.
Anybody who's doing this for their own personal benefit, like if you're doing it because you want to prove to yourself that the paranormal exists or life after death exists, you're not going to present it to the general public in that sort of grand scale. You're doing it for yourself, and that's all that really matters, right? So those are the people you're never going to find out. There could be some staggering evidence out there from people who have done it for their own personal benefit that have never shared it with anybody because they're not going out there to share it with anybody. They're doing it for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know, you'd never believe it unless you were there. I mean, you know, we can watch all these TV programs and read all these books, you know, until we're blue in the face. But unless you're actually there and you're experiencing it, and you've kind of ruled everything else out,
Well,
you know?
it's hearsay until you're actually there witnessing it, right?
I mean, I had an experience in a place that a lot of people would consider was the paranormal the Disney the paranormal Disneyland, if you will, and that's Waverly Hills Sanitarium. And the one thing that everyone would always talk about was, you know, this supposed boy playing with a ball. You know, you bring in a ball, you play with toys, whatever, and there'd be interaction. And I was highly skeptical. I was just very skeptical, Matt. And then, you know, we went in, we rigged the ball. We didn't rig it. We got it set up and in a controlled environment and said, okay, we'll leave it alone. We'll have a camera trained on it. So if there's any movement, we'll capture it. And bang. You know, the whole night we were thinking, okay, the ball didn't fucking move at all. And, you know, you get home and you review all the video footage and, oh my God, the ball's fucking moving. This is fucking crazy. You know, this is just insane. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to why that ball's moving. It just doesn't make any sense. And the kicker was we had it propped up on a quarter and it returned to the quarter. So, I mean, yeah, shit like that does happen.
Yeah, are we not in the moment enough? Because we're, you know, when we're doing these things, we're so absorbed with what we're doing, like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, we need to be looking around, and be looking around, and you're not just staring straight ahead, like focusing on exactly what's happening. You're kind of you're too wrapped up in everything that's going on, and it's like, yeah, the stuff is there if you actually bothered to, or not bothered, rather, if you were tuned in enough to kind of realize it's actually happening right as you speak,
Yep. Mhm.
but it's because you're so you got a lot of, when you're doing these things, there's a lot of extraneous things going on, where you're looking at who's in the room, what's going on, who's in another room, where could they be, you kind of, you're almost kind of looking at too many things at once, and it's only once you look at it later on in the cold light of day, with a like a static camera, so you can see that there's movement going on. It's going on right under your nose, but you can't even spot it because you're all looking around going, yeah, if there's anything out there, would you please look, come to us now. And it's like, it's not up there, it's right in front of you. You can't even hone in on it because it's very subtle. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's,
very.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. We're at the end of the 2 hours. It just flies by. Matt, I want to thank you again. I've got your link there, and everybody knows the secret vault. Come on. Everybody knows the secret vault.
And if you don't, you should.
The links there. Anywhere else, or is it just the secret vault? Just YouTube. Where is there anywhere else that anyone can find you that you want people to look for you, or what? Just YouTube.
Yeah, people were finding my address on Google Maps because somebody put me on there, but rather not not happen. But
Oh wow.
You can find Matt stuck to a ceiling with a bunch of. Never mind. I won't go there.
Yeah, wait a sec. This, yeah.
Unusual suicide, man stuck to ceiling with ectoplasm.
Yeah, exactly.
Committed
Ectoplasm.
suicide.
Let's call it that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, Matt, I've got a little package coming your way.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, thank you. Thank you
So,
very much.
And yeah, so until next Sunday night, I want to thank everybody for tuning in on New Visions Radio Network, and of course watching us here on YouTube and Twitch and so on and so on. And yeah, Matt, always a pleasure having you on. We really appreciate it.
No worries.
Take care, everyone. I know it's what is it? What time is it there? It's like what, 3, 4?
4 in the morning now.
4 in the morning.
Literally 4. It's just about 1 minute away from 4 o'clock.
Wow. All right, guys. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody. Take care and have a good one. We'll see you all later.
Cheers.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
All the best. Thanks for popping in. Bye.